Okay, here we are back inside. We're going to do the math on a few examples of Mel's Mix. First, we're going to do a kid's box. Let's say the box is 3 feet wide, 3 feet long. Now remember, all our boxes are going to be 6 inches deep in this scenario. So we take 3 times 3 equals 9 square feet. We take 9 square feet, and because we're only going to be doing half a foot, we divide that 9 square feet by 2, which gives us 4.5 cubic feet. So we need 4.5 cubic feet is what's inside the box. Then we take 4.5 and we're going to divide it by 3 because we have to have 3 different items. We have to have peat moss, vermiculite, and compost. Dividing that by 3 brings us out to 1.5 cubic feet of each product. So we have 1.5 cubic feet of peat moss, vermiculite, and compost. That's if you're doing a 3x3 kids garden. Now, what if you're doing the standard 4x4 adult garden? Well, we're going to have 4 feet by 4 feet again. Remember, we're also doing only 6 inches in all scenarios. 4 times 4 equals 16 square feet. We're going to take 16 and divide it by 2 because we're only doing half a foot, not a full foot deep, equals 8 cubic feet. We need 3 different items again, so we're going to take 8 cubic feet, divide it by 3. That tells us on each product we're going to need 2.6 cubic feet, which means we're going to need 2.6 cubic feet of peat moss, 2.6 cubic feet of vermiculite, and 2.6 cubic feet of compost. Now we're going to also look at the scenario that I have specifically for 4.8 cubic feet, which is what I'm doing. Bring that up here. We're going to have one that's 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. Once again, we're only doing 6 inches deep. So we take 4 times 8 and equals 32 square feet. We take 32 and divide it by 2 because we're only having half a foot of the mix deep rather than a whole foot deep. So that actually brings us to 16 cubic feet. We're going to have 3 different items, so we need 16 divided by 3 equals 5.3 cubic feet of each item in the box. So we're going to have 5.3 cubic feet of peat moss, 5.3 cubic feet of vermiculite, and 5.3 cubic feet of compost. Now, one of the things I want to say real quick is, like Mel says in his book, this is not rocket science, so you can actually go up to the most even number. Rather than like 5.3, you could do 5.5, for example. That way, it's just easier for you on the math. And I find also that Mel's Mix settles a little bit. So if you go up a little higher, I think you're going to be okay. We're going to look at a little more of the math. We're going to do a 4 feet wide by 8 foot long bed at 6 inches deep. Okay. The supply requirements for 4 beds at this size is 16 cubic feet per box times 4 boxes equals 64 cubic feet. I need 3 different items, the peat moss, the vermiculite, and the compost. I take 64 and I divide it by 3, and it tells me for the products I need 21.3 cubic feet of each product. You can round that up to 22 if you want. So it's better to go higher than it is to go under. Okay, so I need, once again, 21.3 cubic feet divided by 4 tells me that I need 5.3 cubic feet of each product in each box. Okay. Now, for peat moss comes in a 3.8 cubic foot bales that expand to be a total of 8 cubic feet. Okay. Now, I take 5.3 and I divide it by 8 and I get 0.6, meaning that you put in just over half a bale of peat moss per box. I rounded it up to about 2/3 of a bale per box. Your vermiculite comes in bags of 3.5 cubic feet. So I take 5.3, I divide it by 3.5, and it tells me I need 1.5 cubic feet per box. So I put 1.5 bags in the box. I think I screwed up on that, but I'll have to double check that. But I know that I personally put in 1.5 bags per box. Now, compost is a mix of 5 different types. So I did 1 cubic foot of mushroom compost, 1 cubic foot of chicken manure, 1 cubic foot of earthworm castings. Now, one thing I want to say real quick about these three is that the mushroom compost and the, I believe it was earthworm castings, did have half soil and half the compost. So you do have a little bit of soil in this, but it's so marginal that you don't even do the math on that, okay? So, and then 1.5 cubic foot of the first manufacturer's compost and 1.5 cubic foot of the second manufacturer's compost. That comes out to a total of 6 cubic feet of compost from 5 different sources per box, at a total of 6 times 4 equals 24 cubic feet of compost. I'm about 2 cubic feet more than I need, but if you divide that by 4, each box is going to have less than 1 cubic foot of compost for that length. So we're doing fine there. A little bit about the expense of it, just to give you an idea. This is rounding up a little bit. The 6 bags of vermiculite were just under $20, so I rounded up to 20. I had to get that times 4 boxes is $80. 3 bales of peat moss at just under $17 each came out to $51. 4 bags of chicken manure at around $6 each came out to $24. Same for the mushroom and the worm castings. The big bags of compost were around $5 each, somewhere around there. Those were $20 each. So my meal mix total for 4 4x8 boxes came out to $243 even. I hope you could use this math maybe to help you a little bit and add everything together a little easier than maybe the book tells you. But I found that this worked really well for me. All right. Thank you and good gardening.